And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It's Tuesday. It's the 9th, June, 2026. And may I state for the record, one of those days. If you are one of those people that bought the Vanguard S&P 20 years ago, you don't need to listen to a word I have to say. I always mention that way on days like today. If you don't want to know crazy, shut it down. This was one of the more wild days I have experienced in a long time. As you know, we tell you what we think. We're very careful about what we say and how we say it. We will never, ever, how do I put this? When it comes to markets, do what they do in Congress. Catching my drift? Today, we got shaken out of indices, rightfully so. When you go with what we did Friday, not so bad, but man, we got shaken out today on another gargantuan news-driven day in the markets. And I'm just going to go through in a minute what they did, and we'll put like a little emphasis on some of the moves and how, by the way, it is 3:59. In the last 3 minutes, it's swinging all over the map again. And we'll explain. In case you don't know, this is serious talk on everything that affects you. We'll do the markets, the economy, jobs, unemployment, taxes, deficit spending, scams, shams, corruptions, war, and all that crap. And of course, my Knicks had a bad evening last night. The coach really complained about the refs, rightfully so. They did a horrible job again. They have to do things with technicals again that they were wrong on. And they screwed one team and they did right by the other team. Simple as that. But when all is said and done, you still have to win the game, and there were too many turnovers and just a lot of crap going on. But they lost, and they need to win on Wednesday. They're up 2-1. They still have a away game in the hand. That he won 2 away games, but they lost 1 home game. I am demoralized. If you don't know, what happened after the game is a bunch of New Yorkers were beating the crap out of a bunch of Spurs fans. And I mean beating the crap out of them. And I hope every one of them's caught. I hope they're arrested. I hope they're indicted. I hope they're tried. And I hope they go to jail if found guilty. That pisses me off like there's no tomorrow. And there's video after video after video after video of this going on. They got one guy doing a curb stomp. You know what that is? A guy's laying on the ground and he jumps on him with his foot on his head. The good news is the police were right there. Oh, and they took his ass down. I don't know what's the matter with people. So, the Ryder Cup, Americans were... I know exactly what was said to Rory McIlroy at a golf tournament. I don't know what's happening. The good news is it's an exception to the rule, but it shouldn't be anybody. That was the negative of last night, ladies and gentlemen. Besides the Knicks losing. And if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our X feed. If you don't follow us on X, you should. You just put our name in. If you'd like to email us, just be nice. And be respectful. And don't be a doofus. I got a guy emailing me. You know what? I'm not even going to get into it. Let's move on. What do we mean by news-driven today? Okay. I guess we can start with the Dow, which, by the way, opened today at within 5 minutes. Was it? Let me get the actual Dow, and I'll give you an idea. The Dow was at 51. If I find it, 257. Is that about right? 51,260, right near the open. You got that? 51,260, which is about 400. 260, 39, about 470 points. The Dow. At about in the 12 o'clock hour, it was 50,214. The Dow dropped over 1,000 points. 1,000. There was a story that we are going to retaliate against Iran for shooting down one of our helicopters. That was the story. But besides the Dow, whoa. The semiconductors opened up. And at 9:45, the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index was 13,264. That would put it at about up 300, 350. 13,264. Let me 600, about 350. 13,264. At late in the 12 o'clock hour, it was 11,811. Dropped over 1,400 points. And at that time was down about 1,100. A huge drop. And they were smoking the living daylights out of the semiconductors and some of those other areas. The last leg down, I believe, was on that news, but the market was already weak. It was weakening and weakening. And then, of course, we had the president come out, and I guess we're days away from a deal. And they actually put out a framework of some sort of a deal. And all that. So the Dow that dropped 1,000 points stopped going down. And it went to 5214. We closed at 5872, actually up 86. The SOX, the semiconductor index, the vital semiconductor index, that was down 1,100. I'm going to get that number right. Yeah. 11, let's call it 850. Yeah, it was down over 1,100, finished only down 248. And interesting enough, and I'm not making this up, in the last 3 minutes, went up a good, make it last 5 minutes, 200 points. To close only down 248. Stunning moves. This is today. News driven. The NASDAQ, ready for this? Hit a low of 24,980. Was down 950. Finished only down 250. And rallied 200 points at the close. Still down 250. NASDAQ 100, 328. But we simply call this a big frickin' defense day. And I must tell you, we sold the rest of our indices in that last move down today. Shaken. You know what I do when that happens? I get right up on the bicycle. I get back to work. Up next, what else happened today? It's wild. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So I just gave you some indices. You ready for some leading names and what they did today? Micron early had hit $989. Was $854 at the low. 13-14% in a couple of hours. Closed at $935, bounced $80 by the close to still be down $14 on the day. But a big defense by the close, which has me thinking, oh, they're probably going to gap it up tomorrow. We'll see. SanDisk, right near the open, was $1,803. By the way, we're not making any of this up. By 12:30, everything bottomed around 12:35, right after I sold. SanDisk, which hit 1803, hit 1536 at around 12:45, let's call it. Last I looked, that's $267, almost 15%. And actually finished up $4 on the day. And of course, when you get a defense day like this, it's up about $6 in the aftermarket. Not a lot for a $1,600 stock, but those are two of the strongest. But there are others, if you don't mind, just for example. Oh, by the way, we do want to let you know a bunch of stocks did go by the wayside. What do we mean by that? While we're explaining to you how this and that really came back strong, I also have LITE finished down $72 today, for instance. So not everything came back, and whenever you get days like today, you lose names. But leave no doubt, I am less than thrilled that I got shaken today. But as we always do, again, we get back on the horse. What else in that land? How about, I'm just going to pick out a couple. What I do, Micron and SanDisk, and I have no idea what Seagate did, because it did finish down $30, which is a decent drop. But Seagate today was $911 at the open, hit $801, was down $110 at $12.45, closed at $8.46, way off the high still, but very good comeback. NVIDIA, now this doesn't move as much, was only down 45 cents. But today, NVIDIA was opened at 211 and at one time was 199 and had broken the 50-day moving average pretty handily and finished only down 45 cents. Of course, that helps the semiconductor index. I just want to see if I can find any others that were really big frickin' movers and came back pretty strong. I'll do a Tower Semiconductor, which did finish down $14, But at the open today was 247 and it hit 210. 37. So we're talking about a lot of 15% drops from the open today on a bunch of these semis, because the SOX semiconductor index dropped about 10, 11, 12% from the highs today before bouncing pretty damn strong. Now, I will tell you, if we did not get that defense, boy, would I be coming in here telling you some things. But as we always say, outcome is everything. The close is everything. And dang, they defended this on news-driven stuff. Now, whether or not it's true or not on some sort of deal, because, and look, this is not a put down. I'm just stating fact. This president has talked about a deal is done or a day away 40 times. Is that an exaggeration, you think? I don't think so. Let's say it's 20. Anyway, we hope we get one. We're not thrilled with the president. I don't think he ripped on Israel, but he should shut his mouth on a country defending themselves from terror. But he doesn't care what I think. But that definitely turned the market today. Tomorrow, I have absolutely no freaking clue what happens, except typically when they defend the market like they did, maybe get some upside testing. Now, I sold a couple of percent ago, which is not going to destroy me, but psychologically it pisses one off. But hey, best of intentions, sometime they go awry. What can I tell you? What else today? Well, crypto was not good, but bounced at the end of the day. I don't even know what else to say. Oh, I do. There's a lot of other news. Apple was down 12, finished only down 10.5. Apple lost, I think, between today and yesterday from the high, like 250 to 300 billion of market cap. What they did was they introduced some AI, artificial intelligence product. And I didn't watch it, but I saw some commentary on it today. And some of the commentary were, oh, it was Bush. You know what Bush means, right? Amateurish. Meaningless. And all that. Anyway, outcome was not great. At all. I don't know what's next. I don't know what their answer is going to be. And by the way, it had to do, I guess, with Siri. Apple yesterday cracked the 21-day, furthered today. Up next, what else on this day? This is the one and only Investor's Edge. Welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So I mentioned Apple. I wanted to do a few others that had wild swings. Some of the strongest semiconductor stocks. The NVIDIA CEO. As you know, we're pissed at him. We think he should shush. We don't like somebody talking their book and talking things up. They talked up Marvell as the next trillion-dollar company, and they juiced the stock up big, and the stock had hit like 320. Since it hit 248 today, closed at 266. But we have a problem with these things. Shouldn't be doing that. And then he said to everybody, you should buy Qualcomm. This was a couple of days ago, I believe. Qualcomm was down $12 today to 205. Was down to 196. Again, the market came back. So we got a problem with that. The latest recently was trillions of chips are going to have to be made. So what happened was the equipment makers, the equipment guys, Applied Materials, AMAT, ASML, KLAC, Lam Research, they went into new high ground. But guess what happened today, right? So let me just tell you what they did today. First off, a couple of them are very high priced, and you'll get the hint. ASML today, at the open today, or right at it, was 1831. Went down to 1676. What is that, about 150 some odd points, right? Finished up 28 on the day and is strong. No complaint there. Oh, and by the way, again, in the last minutes, just popped up. KLAC at the open today was 2262 and went down to 1995 at 1245. Last I looked was 267 points. It was about 12-13%. Went from 1995, closed at 2139. So rallied back up 144. Welcome to my frickin' world. Welcome to my world. And I got emails today, what's causing this? I have no idea. People are saying it's because of SpaceX coming out and people are selling. Well, I got news for you. Retail was up today. Housing was up today. Medicals were up today. Defense stocks were up today. Auto dealers were up today. Pharmaceuticals were up today. Airlines and cruise lines are up today. Consumer staples are up today. Restaurants are up today. I'm making a point, by the way. Some economically sensitive names were up today. Financials were up today. Some of the transports are up today. Well, why didn't they sell that? So I don't buy into that crap. People just sometimes just make something up to give an answer. All we can tell you is that even when the market was getting clipped and the Dow was down 500, definite relative bid in what we call the stuff. And basically, I use this line, worst was first. What have been the worst areas of the market? Well, retail, housing related, defense stocks recently, pharmaceuticals, not Eli Lilly. A lot of the medicals, horror shows, insurance, consumer staples, restaurants, really bad. A lot of the financials, all green today. All green. And if anything, they did some real good heavy lifting in the market today while there were other things going on. Outcome. Well, interesting enough. The SOX finished back above the 21-day moving average, which held it about 3 weeks ago and just went a little bit below it on Friday. The NASDAQ went all the way down to almost a 50-day moving average today, which was 24,958. Oh, wow. Is this right? The NASDAQ went to the 50-day moving average within 32 points. That's a big wow. And had that big bounce, of course, because I sold. The NASDAQ 100, stronger than the NASDAQ, hit a low of 28,196, but the 50-day is about 27,681. So a little bit stronger than the NASDAQ itself. What else can I Goldman Sachs very market-oriented. Open today was at 1064 and hit a low of 1,006. A nice little financial company dropped $58 from the high to 1245 and rallied back up 26. I'm being asked, is this healthy or not healthy? I just believe in outcome, and we'll worry about it as we move forward. What do I do now? Oh, I sold the indices. Well, I sold half on Friday, so I averaged that out, so not so bad at a higher price, but boy, today really... Would I do it again in real time? Yeah. Things were getting in real big frickin' trouble. And semiconductors, which have led up, you don't want to see them lead down. If there was any saving grace all day today, again, the stuff, better. And I can tell you that the housing stocks edged above a low range today. I'll give it that. The regional banks didn't finish great, but trying to move above a little range. And some of them had a decent day. Worst is first. That's the story today. And what we'll do now is we'll look to see, will there be staying power in these worst is first? Because I can tell you airline's not great, but Delta's strong. The cruise lines, there's only a few of them, and 3 of them stink, but Viking is strong, so I got to look at that. But you just don't know if they have staying power. In retail, I must tell you, you ready for this? Crocs is a new yearly high. I think I may have mentioned it yesterday. I don't know if I did. Their numbers are not that great. But Ralph Lauren, that had a nice gap to the upside recently on their earnings, strong day. That's apparel. TJX, that's close to breakout to new high of a long range on decent numbers. So I got a couple of retail stocks that are showing up. The problem with retail is if I go look at the other 80 names, they look like crap. So we'll see. But I got to tell you today, whether I sold or not, a harrowing day of movement and news-driven crap. And let's hope the news becomes good going forward. I don't know what the president meant by retaliating, and I don't know if he is going to or not. I don't think he wants to. The United States, that Iran is responsible. And now they're talking about a deal. Asked whether U.S. will help rebuild Iran. Trump said, yeah, but we'll get half their oil. I don't know what the hell that means. I don't know. Oh, the U.S. has informed Israel it will attack Iran in the coming hours and pursue a non-limited major move on Iran as retaliation. But the market came back because supposedly a deal. So we're going to attack them, but we're going to get a deal. And somebody writes, despite recent military tensions, the U.S. and Iran have made progress toward a potential nuclear... You know, I remember when Kramer was playing Newman the game of Risk on a train. I'm not going to say what I was thinking. Up next, anything else? I'm whipped. I'm whooped. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. Banana. You ever see that episode of Seinfeld? Newman and Kramer playing Risk on a train, and Kramer, I believe, says to Newman, something to the fact I'm dominating, and your Ukraine is weak or something, and a Ukrainian is standing behind them and is, I'm Ukrainian, and just smacks the living hell out of the game. One of the great scenes of every scene in Seinfeld is pretty great if you ask me. a lot of this I'm reporting to you is just so weird. We're going to attack them, but we're negotiating peace. I will let you know under no uncertain terms if the president hands over billions to them. I will make fun of the president for a couple of minutes for spending years ripping on Obama for Obama handing over some of their assets. What was it, 1.8 billion? If Trump handles over more, I will make fun of him for 2 minutes and then I'll drop it. You know how everybody says he's the greatest deal maker, negotiator? I think he sucks at it. Sorry. But I wish him well. I stand by him. I hope he does great things. I have every decision is a right one, and I would shake his hand and give him a big hug because he's the president of the United States. By the way, would have done the same with Biden. As much as I tell you that he should have been impeached for what he did on the border. By the way, he should have been. I think that was impeachable. Yeah, we're just going to open up the whole freaking border, let everybody in. We're going to send them on airplanes at 3 a.m. to all these cities. Tough luck on the cities if it costs them billions of dollars. And yeah, we'll vet, but there's going to be plenty of people we won't be able to vet, and we won't know whether they're bad or not. Never forget that. Probably one of the worst things a president has done in a very long time. And one of the best things a president has done in a very long time is what Trump did, closing the border. That's why I'm so upset I can't compliment President Trump more because of all the other things. But again, I'm telling you, I'm not one of those haters. I wish him well. I hope he does great things. I hope everything works out terrific. And back to the markets. I got stopped out of some indices. I know some people that got stopped out of 15 to 20 stocks. I gave up maybe a couple of percent. I know some that gave up 7, 8, and 9% on those stocks in 3 hours. I'll consider myself lucky on that, but man, oh man. One of those days. And we don't mind telling you because it makes me work harder and hopefully better going forward. But as I'm looking at my screen right now, I'm always looking at what's the strongest stocks. And I was watching SanDisk all day because I believe it's still the strongest stock in the market. And I watched it go from 1803 down to 1536. Think about that. It drops $267 in 2 hours and 45 minutes. And I'm watching it and I'm thinking, man, where? And what it did was it dropped down to the other moving average, the stronger one, the 21-day, just below it, where it held on Friday. And I'm watching, but the market's just getting trashed. And I'm worried about my indices, and I'm saying screw that. And not only does it rally back up from 1503 to 1646, you know what happens to strong stocks on a day like today? It's up $20 in the aftermarket. Now guess what? $20. That's really $2 on a $166 stock, but it's still. Anyway, I already did my scans. I'll do a little bit more afterwards, and we'll see how it goes. last night I had a picture of my father sitting next to me watching the Knick game, and I'm hearing him yell and scream at the refs. That was last night. Have you experienced that? Loved one who passes, you hear them, don't you? I was actually hearing my father. I know exactly what he says when he's mad at the refs and mad at his teams. I'm just sitting there, I'm like, whoa. Have you experienced that? That was last night for me. I was just thinking about that because I'm looking at the picture right now. So do I need to segue back to the markets? Because if the semiconductors have a big day tomorrow, I'll be PO'd. Couple other notes. You were all told you got to buy space stocks because SpaceX is coming out and it's going to be a high valuation. We're letting you know the other space stocks have been crashing. That's a bad word to use, right? But they've been crumbling. Just letting you know. There are some ETFs. One's DXYZ just went from 73 to 34. How about NASA? There's one symbol, NASA, 4270 to 3160. Y'all be careful. How about this BKSY, Black Sky, 53 to 31? Catching my drift? That'll be Friday. I think I got my cue. You'll have a great evening. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family and hug your children. They will feel better. You'll feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Thanks for joining. I wish I drank. Good night.